Okay, right. So very good morning to all. So here I am going to explain one more control strategy of a induction motor speed control technique. Right. So if I recall the previous video lecture conclusion that due to presence of this external resistance which is inserted in the rotor winding through this diode bridge rectifier, this is a heat dissipative element, right? So due to presence of this heat dissipative element, there is a loss associated with this resistor, which will reduce the efficiency of the whole system, right? So now, uh, instead of wasting this power loss in the resistor, if you feed this power back to the source, I can say there is an improvement in the overall converter efficiency, right? That is what we are going to do here in this uh, video lecture, right? So that is called slip power recovery scheme. So if we recall the previous converter control strategies like rotor resistance control schemes, the speed can be controlled by varying the rotor resistance. Due to this rotor resistance variation, certain power is wasted in the resistor connected to the rotor circuit. In other words, slip power is wasted as heat loss. Right? Instead of wasting the slip power, it can be pumped back into the mains. So that is what we are going to do in case of slip power recovery scheme. We are recovering the slip power and feeding back to the main supply. If slip power is taken out from the rotor, speed will decrease, right? And if slip power is pumped into the rotor, the speed will increase. So this can be achieved by injecting voltage in the rotor with appropriate polarity, right? If the voltage is injected in the rotor, the magnitude and the frequency should match with that of the rotor circuit. The frequency and magnitude of rotor continuously change with the speed. Okay, here you can see uh, equivalent circuit of a, sorry. Okay, so now here you can see this is the electrical equivalent circuit of a induction motor, where this circuit will give the stator electrical equivalent circuit, and this one will give the rotor electrical equivalent circuit, and we are injecting some voltage into the rotor side, that is called VR. So for this one I can write P mechanical power developed equal to air gap power minus copper loss minus power absorbed by the source VR. So these are the terms, right? If I uh, see, if I neglect the copper loss, so from the previous expression, I can write P mechanical equal to PG minus PR. The magnitude and sign of this PR can be controlled by controlling the magnitude and phase of VR. VR is the injected voltage. So if I control the magnitude and phase of this VR, the sign and magnitude of this PR will changes. That will affect the mechanical power developed by the induction motor, and accordingly the speed will change, right? So these are the conclusion we need to see here. If PR equal to 0, that means if I don't inject any rotor voltage, right? So that means PM equal to PG. So the motor runs at natural speed or characteristics, if this is the case. When PR is positive, if I inject positive voltage, into the rotor circuit, then the net PM will reduce and it will lower down the speed of the induction motor. And if PR is negative, right? So that will increase this PR, PG minus into minus PR. That means PG plus PR. So that means there is an increment in net mechanical power developed, which will increase the speed of the motor. When PR equal to PG, so when rotor injected power is equal to the air gap power, then this term will goes to zero. That means the net mechanical power developed by the motor will be zero, which shows the motor will run at zero speed. That means motor at rest condition, right? So here there are two types of the slip power schemes. One is the static Serbius drive, second is static Kramer drive. First we'll see static Serbius drive. Here you can see the equivalent circuit of a static Serbius drive, where you can see the stator, which is fed from three-phase AC supply, right? Whereas inside of the stator, you can see rotor. So rotor terminal is brought out and it is connected to this diode rectifier. If I close this switch S2, so rotor voltage is being rectified to DC voltages with the help of the diode rectifier. Okay, then to get a ripple-free DC across the inverter bridge, right? So it is inverting the voltage from DC to AC here. Okay, whereas this diode rectifier, it is converting the AC into DC here. So and here VD1 you will get some DC voltage which is having some ripples in it. So in order to remove the ripples in the voltage, the inductor LD is used, right? So inductor LD is having some internal resistance RD also, right? Then here VD2 you'll get pure DC voltage and this DC converted into AC, right? And this AC is fed back to the again the grid, AC grid, through this transformer, right? Where M is the source tied to converter side transformer ratio. Okay, so now you can see the voltage across the rectifier, as you can see here. So where VD1 is the output voltage of this rectifier, which is equal to 3√6 by pi. But here due to it is converting the rotor voltage into the DC side, so we need to consider the stator to rotor turns ratio. So here, yes, this N will give the stator to rotor ratio, and S is the slip, because slip power is there inside the rotor circuit. That multiplied by V will give the VD1. VD1 equals 3√6 by pi S into V divided by N, where N is the stator to rotor turns ratio. And we know that the inverter output voltage VD2, you can write it as 3√6 by pi V by M into cos alpha, where alpha is the firing angle of this inverter circuit and M is the source tied to converter side transformer ratio, and V is the voltage which is there across the input side of this inverter. So these are the expression for VD1 and VD2. Right. So that means here from the circuit, we are pumping back the rotor power. The rotor power is extracted from here and we are pumping back to the grid through this rectifier, inverter and the transformer. So we are collecting the rotor power and we are feeding that power back to the grid. That is called slip power recovery scheme. So we are recovering the slip power which is there inside this rotor, and it is feeding power back to the source. So the converter efficiency will be increase. The overall system efficiency will increase. So that is what you can see here. If it provides the speed of a wound rotor motor below synchronous speed, a portion of rotor AC power is converted into DC by the diode bridge. Since the slip power is fed back to the source, this drive has higher efficiency. This drive has higher efficiency than the stator voltage controller and static rotor resistance control. Because in case of static rotor resistance control, we have seen we are inserting the external resistance R in the rotor circuit after the diode bridge rectifier. So due to presence of this diode bridge rectifier, the efficiency is reducing. Now that is not there in case of this static service drive scheme. Okay. Now neglecting the voltage drop across the inductor and applying the KVL from the above expression, you just recall the above expression. Now you just apply KVL in this loop. So if I apply KVL, that I can write minus VD1 here. We are starting from here, and I can say here plus drop across the inductor. Okay, then minus VD2, and that should be equal to 0. So from this one, I can write VD1 plus VD2 that equal to 0 if I avoid the drop across the inductor, right? Because the inductor is having very less resistance RD, and I can avoid the drop. So if I avoid that one, and as you know, the average voltage across the inductor is also goes to be 0. So VD1 plus VD2, that should be equal to 0. And we know VD1 is the output voltage of the diode bridge rectifier, and we know the expression for that one. VD2 is the output voltage of the inverter. So from this I can write VD1 equal to minus VD2. So this is the expression for VD1. You can see 3 root 6 by pi into S into V by N. And this is the expression VD2, expression for VD2, which is 3 root 6 by pi V by M into cos alpha, right? So the same expression here you can see, and you can cancel 3 root 6 by pi, 3 root 6 by pi, V will get cancelled. So the leftover quantity is S by N into cos alpha by M. So from this one I can write S equal to minus N by M into cos alpha, where alpha is the firing angle, S is the slip, N is the stator to rotor turns ratio of the induction motor, M is the source side to the converter side transformer turns ratio, right? So all this quantity you can substitute it here. So where if I substitute A equal to N by M, the turns ratio of the converter and transformer, then I can write S equal to minus A into cos alpha. So by varying this alpha, I can vary the slip. Varying the slip means varying the speed of the induction motor, right? So for safe commutation, alpha is restricted to 165 degrees. Alpha is the firing angle of the inverter. So for safe commutation, alpha is restricted to only 165 degrees. You cannot increase beyond that one. So if I substitute alpha if I vary alpha from 90 degrees to 165 degrees, if I substitute alpha equal to 90 degrees here, cos 90 is 0, so slip will be 0, right? And if I substitute alpha equal to 165, it will be minus 0.966, right? So minus into minus here plus, so that the slip can vary from 0 to 0.966A, where A is N by M, right? So you can vary the slip from 0 to 0.966A when your alpha is changing from 90 to 165 degrees. Varying the slip means there is a variation in the speed, because slip and speed, they are interrelated. Okay, so this is how we are going to control the speed of a induction motor by controlling the rotor power, that is slip power. Right. So as I told you in the last slide, that maximum value of alpha is set to 165 degrees for safe commutation of inverter thyristors. Right, where VD1 is, as you know, this is the rectifier output voltage, which is 3 root 6 by pi into, here I can get at this particular point, I can get maximum slip. So S maximum V by N, and we know that VD2 equals 3 root 6 by pi V by M and cos alpha. So for maximum slip, I can substitute alpha equal to 165 degrees. And you know, this is from the previous circuit configuration. If I apply the KVL in this loop, minus VD1 plus drop across induction voltage plus minus VD2, that equal to 0. So drop across the inductor is 0. Yavaj voltage across the inductor should be 0. So I can write VD1 plus VD2 equal to 0. And I can substitute VD1 this much and VD2 this much. Right? So again, I can write VD1 equal to minus VD2. That is why you can see minus here. 3 root 6 by pi, 3 root 6 by pi c will get cancelled. V will get cancelled. So the leftover quantity is that S max divided by N is equal to cos 165 degrees by M. So from here I can write M equal to minus N by S maximum at cos 165 degrees. So I can substitute the value of cos 165, which is minus 0.66. So M equal to minus N into 0.966 divided by S maximum. Right? So the maximum speed slip at which you can get. Okay. And if you see the converters, right? So in between the converter, we'll be having the LD, which is called the filter inductance, right? So that is used to ripple, used to get ripple-free DC current, right? Now, if I want to write the power loss in the rotor circuit, so that means there are 3 phases, so it is 3 into PR. Right, PR is the rotor power loss. So you can see 3 into, I can write PR equal to I square into R. So IR square into the rotor circuit resistance. Now we want to find out what is this rotor circuit resistance? How much value is there for the rotor circuit resistance? So this is the electrical equivalent circuit, per phase electrical equivalent circuit of an induction motor. Now here you can see this is the stator side electrical equivalent circuit, and this is what rotor side electrical equivalent circuit. And you can see this is applied voltage, and ES is the stator induced voltage, and S times ER is the rotor induced voltage, because the rotor is having slip power, so the voltage will be slip voltage, S times ER, right? So now I can convert this circuit to rotor side. So now you just convert the stator parameter to the rotor parameter. So rotor parameter is S into XR. XR is the rotor resistance, rotor reactance. R is the rotor resistance. Now if I convert this stator components to the rotor components, I need to multiply this with S, because here the injected voltage is S times ER. So now I can write S times ER is the rotor induced voltage into S times RS dash. Here RS dash is the stator resistance when referred to the rotor side. This is the electrical equivalent circuit when referred to the rotor side. And Sx I can write it as S times XS dash, where XS dash is the stator reactance when referred to the rotor side. So now this is the total electrical equivalent circuit when referred to the rotor side. Now you can find out this rotor circuit resistance. Now we have all converted all the stator quantity to the rotor side. The total rotor resistance will be S into RS dash plus RR, that will give the rotor circuit resistance. So the same thing you can see here. The total rotor circuit resistance will be S into RS dash plus RR, where RR is the rotor resistance, whereas RS dash is a stator resistance when referred to the rotor side. Okay. Now, if I know this rotor resistance, that multiplied by IR square will give the power loss in the rotor circuit, right? So this is a total rotor resistance. Just now I explained how we got. The total power loss in the rotor circuit will be 3 times PR, 3 times IR square into the total rotor resistance S into RS dash plus RR, right? And we know that from the last equations, last video lecture, that the rotor current, we got it as ID into under root 2 by 3, right? So this is the current you will get in the rotor circuit, where ID is the DC link current, right? So here, instead of IR dash, you can substitute this expression. So into 3 into ID into under root 2 by 3 whole square into this resistance S into RR dash, RS dash plus RR. Okay, this square root will get cancelled, right? And this 3 will get cancelled. So I can write the total power loss in the rotor circuit will be 2 times S into RS dash plus RR dash into ID square. So now this is the total resistance in the rotor circuit, and that multiplied the current will give that multiplied by the current square, that will be the power loss in the rotor circuit. So now I can read the electrical equivalent circuit of the converters, including the LD. LD is having some internal resistance RD, right? So now, in addition to this simple RD, now this is the rotor resistance, total rotor resistance. That is 3-phase to single phase, I can say. Now VD1 is the average output voltage of the rectifier. V02 is the average output voltage of the inverter input circuit, right? And now this resistance is replaced by this magnitude RD, which is the internal resistance of inductor LD, plus this resistance 2 into S into RS dash plus RR. So that is the total resistance now in the rotor circuit. Okay, now you can see here I have represented V02 with variable 1. Why? Because this is the output voltage of the inverter, and the output voltage of the inverter you can control by controlling the firing angle alpha. That is why I have represented with this arrow mark. So now I can write I can apply KVL in this loop, right? Or I can find out what is the magnitude of this current, because this current will be the difference between two voltages, right? So it is V0. Here you can see it is minus. So minus into minus plus you will get, right? We need to get difference voltage now. So V01 plus V02 divided by the total resistance RD plus 2 times S into RS dash plus RR. So for a known values of VD1, VD2, and all these resistances, you can calculate what is the amount of current which is flowing to the DC link. Okay. Now, we know the expression for VD1. So that is the rectifier output voltage 3√6 by pi into S into V by N. And we also know the output voltage of the inverter bridge, right? So you just substitute here, and you can take this 3√6 by pi common in the numerator. So 3√6 by pi into V. Here the leftover quantity is S by N plus cos alpha divided by M, and divided by RD plus 2 into S into RS dash plus RR. Okay, so if I neglect the rotor copper loss, I can write the air gap power is slip times PG. Okay, that will be the magnitude of VD2 into ID. Okay, from this one I can write the PG equal to modular of VG2 into ID divided by S, where S is the slip, ID is the DC link current. And we know the air gap power is load torque times the speed. Speed multiplied by torque will give the power. So this is the load torque multiplied by speed will give the air gap power. And from this one, I can write load torque will be equal to PG divided by S into omega M, right? S into omega M. Then I can write TL equal to, instead of PG, I can substitute this quantity. So here there is no S here, because from this expression, TL equal to PG divided by M. So PG divided by M is the TL. So TL instead of PG, I can substitute this VD2 into ID divided by S into M. So this is the load torque of a induction motor when it is controlled by rotor resistance control techniques. That is called static Scabious drive system, right? And this is the closed loop control strategy of a static Scabious drive. So here our motto is to operate the induction motor at the required speed. Okay, so the required speed can be obtained by changing the reference speed here, right? So at which speed you want to operate this induction motor, that is decided by this V omega M star, this is the reference speed. So the speed of this induction motor may change when there is a variation in the input side, or when there is a variation in the load side. So that speed, change in speed can be sensed by this speed sensor, and that is given to the summer, and the summer will take care of these two speeds, and it will generate the error signal, and that error signal is given to the speed controller, and according to that it will generate some signal here, and that is given to the current limiter. Current limiter will provide the reference DC link current, and it is also sensing the DC link current here. So these two are compared in the summer difference, and that is given to the current controller, and according to the change in this current, the alpha is controlled here, which will control this VD1, VD2, right? And is feeding power back to the source, so that the machine can operate at the required speed. So just by controlling this alpha 2, you can control the speed of this induction motor, and the machine can operate at the required speed. The application of these Scabious drives are fan drives and pump drives. These are the two applications where you can find the static Scabious drive. And the advantage of this drive is that the efficiency will be more when compared to the static rotor resistance controlled and static frequency control scheme. Thank you. Here I will stop.